that our correctional facilities are brimming with inmates they could barely accommodate is no longer news. Built a decade ago to serve, to serve 57,278 inmates, but now holding 68,747. The facilities are grossly overstretched by 18%. The solutions to the congestion. The solution to this is just decongestion. Now, the Minister of State for Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, says that they should accelerate inmates that have overstayed, built holding centers and signed death warrant of convicts on death row, numbering to about 3,008. But a non-governmental organization, Prisoners Interest Organization, CAPIO, has raised concern over the call on governors to sign the execution warrant of inmates on death row. The executive director of this organization, Reverend Father Jude Isiogu, and other rights activists described death penalty sentence call as brutish, inhuman, and a violation of the right of life. Judy, what the minister was saying now, we have the capacity to have 57,278 inmates, but now we have overstretched it with 18%. Right now we are holding 68,774. That the governors have not been signing death warrants and the governors have not been making move aimed at decongesting these facilities.
Well, as we have seen, we can decongest prisons not simply by executing prisoners on death row. They are not the reason we have congestion in our prisons. It is the whimsical nature of our judicial system that accounts for this decongestion. Many people are awaiting trial. The percentage of awaiting trial inmates far outweighs the number of people awaiting death. So you have someone who committed maybe an environmental offense, he could be in prison for months. He could be in prison for months. His case won't come up for months. So if people's cases, if cases will be decided quickly by the courts, we won't have this kind of situation. Because why do we have so many people awaiting trial in our court? And a lot of them, I can tell you that the day they are taken to court, some of them will be set free. A lot of them are not guilty in any way.
There's no case against them.
Yes, yet they are in prison simply awaiting trial for cases that maybe petty stealing and all that, cases that could be decided in record time. People will be in prison for years. Two persons exchanged blows in public. They were arrested, taken to prison. And what do we have? That person is in prison for so long. Maybe the day that they are supposed to hear his matter in court, the Black Maria broke down. He will not be taken to court.
And some, they don't have money to pay their bill.
So
nobody will come for their bill in the police station.
So the truth is, in fact, right now, police cells are brimming, they are filled to the brim with inmates, with detainees, because by the biosafety measures that the correctional service came up with, they have to conduct some tests before people are taken into the prisons.
Okay, to make it difficult. So
a lot of those guys, the prisons are not going to accept when police take prisoners to police station, take suspects to police station. for remand, they will say no, we are not going to accept them until those safety measures have been taken. A lot of the guys who were involved in arson in Lagos during the NSAS, then they refused to accept them from the police. So the police continue to lock them up. Yeah, no, I don't know whether now they've now been tested and sent to the correctional facilities, but I'm saying that in itself contributed drastically to the population of detainees being held in police cells, because the prisons will not want a situation in which you bring someone who is infected with COVID-19 and then he goes to the prison to to infect other people. We can build new prisons. I thank Akpabio because he built an ultra-modern prison in Akwa Ibom, where Kablu Sokoto was even detained, the architect of the Suleja, the Christmas Day bombing. That was where they locked him up. We need to build, increase capacity, build more correctional facilities that are modern, because what we have are not even modern prisons. No, people will not. People won't go through character reformation in our prisons. You know, positive character reformation. It is negative character reformation that they will go through. You see some prisons. You see some prisons. People will even feel like being there. In some of the countries of the world, like Norway, you see their prisons. They look like 5-star hotels. You have your grill. You have everything. So we need to expand the prison, our facilities, expand them so that we can properly take care of these prisoners, rather than have a situation in which the prisons are terribly congested. But I know that, yes, there's a need to do something about prisoners on death row, but we have far more people who should not even be in prisons at all.
The system, Judy has blamed the system, and this system over time will still have this kind of situation when we have people that are waiting trial. This justice system is so slow.
80% of them, or thereabouts, are actually awaiting trial. But what baffles me is that we already have a system to take care of this. I remember
somebody told me, somebody was giving a testimony in church, and the person was saying that he's so lucky that he has been awaiting trial, and the day 1 month to his judgment, when that answers took place, and all his files and this thing was burnt at Igboshiri. Everything was burnt at Igboshiri, that court there.
Yes.
That's, he just took the court, the stubbornness of that one particular judge, that he actually went to go and rent another court, as in took a court, borrowed a court because of him, and sat on his case and dispensed on his matter, that others are still there languishing.
Exactly. Where I'm going, you see, there is a provision in the legal system that allow judges, even magistrates, to approach DPOs within their jurisdiction, courts within the jurisdiction of those courts and the prisons, and find out what did this man do, what is his problem. If it is something that is, you know, simply let him out of the place, especially when people have overstayed. If they were found guilty, many of them have stayed beyond the jail time that they are supposed to.
Some people are not even guilty, but they are waiting trial, but the jail time is not going to be more than 5 years, 10 years.
I was reading
20 years, still a waiting trial.
Was it last week? Some 3 people, they were talking in Ibadan, they were picked up 39 years, 40 years, 41 years for doing nothing. And then I'm sure you've been going on, you've been reading what has been going on. Yes, you've been reading what has been going on online about somebody asking somebody to lock somebody up for him, you know, and then just punish him for me
sure,
and all that.
For a long time, he doesn't see the...
He doesn't see. So those kind of things, let's call it using the state for private, the power of the state, the coercive power of the state for private purpose. You know, and they are getting away with it.
Many people like
and many of us are guilty. You remember, even under the military, when your neighbor quarrels with you, you go to the next army barracks to come and call people to come and beat up your neighbor and take him off and all that. So that is, and I guess since this provision is there, I thought the minister would, instead of looking at the direction of 3,008 people, those are not the people that are congesting the court. The people congesting the court are the awaiting trial that are 80%, about 80% of people in jail. And the courts have jurisdiction, within their jurisdiction, to approach DPOs, approach prisons and find out what is the case of this person and dismiss it. Once there's no case against them, and then once they have overstayed whatever would have been their term anyway, if they were found guilty. Okay,
we have the executive director of the Carmelite Prisoners Interest Organization, CAPIO, that's Enugu Reverend Father Jude Eziogu, joins us via Zoom. Thank you for staying with us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Reverend Father Jude Eziogu.
Yes, Reverend Father Jude Eziogu. Okay. Thank you for having me on this platform today.
All right.
Thank you. Yes. How does your group react to the call by the Minister for Governors to show courage by signing the death warrants of prisoners who are on death row? Can you hear me?
Sorry, I didn't get what you asked.
I said, what is the reaction of your group?
Okay.
To the call by the Minister of Interior, prisoners who are on death row, more than 3,000 of them, that governors should show courage by signing their death warrant and put them under their ministry.
Okay. Yes, thank you very much. If I say that when we heard we heard the Minister of Interior make that statement, I received this with utmost shock. Given that, to think that 3,008 inmates on death rows are the ones causing congestion in custodial centers is really alarming. You know, I mean, he did well by giving us the statistics of the number of inmates in all the custodial centers in Nigeria, and it's, according to him, is about 68,747. Now, out of this, the actual convicts are about 17,755. So the number of awaiting trial inmates are about 50,992. So we see that, I mean, it is a simple thing to understand that those causing congestion in correctional centers are those on awaiting trials. So I expected him to be talking more on how to handle these awaiting trial inmates. Because you notice that when you go to these centers, you see that there are a good number of them that have been there for years, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years on awaiting trial, which is quite abnormal. And in a way, their rights, human rights, are even being abridged. Yeah. So the thing is to look at the law. The law is there for them to follow the law. If they follow the law even says that if a person is remanded in the also for first 14 days, when the 14 days expires, they can extend it by another 14 days, that's making it 28 days. If the person has not been tried within these 28 days, and there is reason to extend it again for another 30 days, making it what, 58 days. at the end of these 58 days, and the person is not tried in court, the magistrate should do what? Release the person unconditionally. Is there in the law, in the administration of criminal justice law. So the point I'm trying to make is, if we actually are sincere with ourselves about decongesting the prison, then we should look at the law and say, what does the law say about this? What do we do? So if they pay attention to the long period of trials, you see that they begin to look into what? The judiciary, security agencies, even the prison themselves. How do they handle this issue so that people won't stay in prison for a long time, causing congestion in the prison? So it is not the 3,000 inmates on death row are the ones causing congestion for no reason. And it is already outlaw already, something that's outdated, talking about terminating their lives, killing them, approving their death. Many countries, we should be imitating from countries like Malawi, Sierra Leone, those who have abolished the issue of death penalty, and start looking at these people. Okay, they have served for a long time in the custody. Can we consider granting them state pardon? Can we consider amnesty? These are ways, when you look and see that these people, yes, it's true that they committed serious crimes, but have they repented of it? Are they now of good behavior? When you look at this and see that, oh, they have actually changed, then you can dig. You could be talking about what? Amnesty, state pardon, not to approve to terminate their life. So that's where I want to come in. So the issue of to talk about the congestion, there are a lot of things can be done to decongest the prison. A lot. Thank you very much.
But our law, you see, the death penalty is still an integral part of our law. We have not we have not abolished the death penalty in our country.
Yes.
There are many people too who would agree with you that we could actually substitute death penalty with life imprisonment, the way the South Africans do. But every country deserves the kind of law that it promotes. Where something becomes extremely rampant, you may choose to go for a more stringent approach. In Nigeria, the death penalty is still very much in force. Why, for example, do you think in our country, given the rate of murder in our country, that especially, why do you think that we need to brush aside the death penalty?
Yes, why I think so is that it is against human rights. Yes, in as much as somebody commits crime, be it a murder, be it a grave crime that you say, oh, that death penalty can be substituted with life imprisonment. Because what the court is saying that this person has committed a crime against the state, against the country. Fine, how do you will be talking about what? Rehabilitation. How do you correct this person? That is one of the reasons they changed the name from prison to correctional centers.
Now, the point that I'm making is, if we have a huge...
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm saying that if we have a rise, if we have a rise, if we have a rise in such crimes like murder, for example, do you think that life imprisonment will offer the deterrence that the law is designed to cause to happen?
Yes, I think so. But first of all, because to offer it, if you approve the person to be killed, the death issue, you see that it will not achieve the goal. The aim is what? to rehabilitate, to correct the person. That's the aspect the law is going now. So the punishment, the essence of the punishment is to correct.
No, not simply to correct the person, to also let other people know.
Punish the person and then let other people know that.
Let other people know that if you do this, this is what you get.
Yes, so that can be achieved when the person is remanded for say 10, 20, 15 years or life imprisonment. If the person serves, if it's a life imprisonment and the person serves, let's say 20 years or more, and then you now notice that the person has really become of good behavior, has really corrected, because that is the essence of correctional center, to rehabilitate the person. So if the person has now
Hello, Reverend Father.
learned from his mistakes, from his error. Okay, how do we now look into, okay, do we live, okay, life imprisonment, fine. If the person has even served for a longer, more years, we begin to consider what we call a
parole.
Parole, yes. So these are corrective measures. So in a way, they will achieve that essence to deter committing crime.
Reverend Father, I know that you go to the prisons a lot and you interact with these prisoners.
Yes.
Why do you think that these prisoners on death row, why do you think it is taking so long to put them to sleep? Why do we have so many of them in different correctional facilities and they are not being killed? And they are not being killed. That is what I'm saying, because no, I mean the age we are in has changed. Not like before, they say, oh, this person is supposed to die, they kill the person. Time has changed. People have come to realize that you don't need to kill somebody in order to teach another person lesson that he's not supposed to do wrong. So you punish the person, yes, by giving the person some things to do, some work to do, even be it hard work to do, even while in custody there. So when the person has stayed there for years, he will know that he has wasted some part of his years in prison. He should have achieved something better out there. But the number of years he has stayed in prison is more or less a waste for him. But if rehabilitation is going on, then he should be able to learn and achieve something while in the custody.
I want to thank you.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that maybe governors are slow in signing a death warrant because nobody wants to just take away the rights of another person to live, even though the person committed grave offense.
Okay. I want to thank you, the Executive Director of Camp-like Prisoners Interest Organization, CAPIO, Enugu, Reverend Father Jude Isiguzo. Thank you for joining us.